behind and cheer the Yankees.
It began with the Murderers Row Yankees of the 20s. The names are the stuff of baseball legend: Lazzeri, Gehrig, Ruth. Bill Werber's the last man alive to have called them teammates.
The Yankees were sitting around in the lobby of the hotel, and Ruth noticed this kid was shaking. It was very cold, and he peeled out two $20 bills, and he says, "Go buy yourself an overcoat." Gehrig took his mother to spring training. He was sort of a mama's boy. I liked them both.
He was the Yankee Clipper, and for 13 seasons, Joe DiMaggio set hitting records, made winning a yearly habit in the Bronx, and remained unflappable most of the time.
Swung on, belted. It's a long one. Deep to left center. Back for John Vito. Back. He makes a one-handed catch against the bullpen. Oh, doctor.
The 30s also saw Negro League games come to the Bronx and gave rise to a stadium legend. Did Josh Gibson really become the only man to hit a ball completely out of the stadium? Or did he just miss, as Mickey Mantle did twice 3 decades later?
I always kid Mickey, I said, "What's the difference if you hit it 500 or 300 feet? It only counts for one." I said, "Chop them up to singles, that should be good."
Those boys have the gloves, they have the baseball, and they have the bats.
The old professor managed the Yanks to 7 World Series titles from 1949 to 1960, and Casey Stengel left confused journalists like Gabe Pressman in his wake.
Casey Stengel was unintelligible most of the time. He gave you an answer that was so circuitous, you couldn't figure out what he meant. I did an interview with Casey, and I put English titles or subtitles on it as though he was speaking a foreign language.
5 World Series in a row for Casey Stengel and his American League whiz-bangs.
The image was always Moose Scourin or something, some big hulking guy with no face coming up to bat us into submission.
That changed in October 1955.
And these Dodgers at last are world champions.
Not only do we win it, but we won it in their cathedral.
I had an older sister who was very understanding. I remember she said,
"They lost the World Series, they lost the world."
And your parents get very cranky when you try to kill your sister.
I love Mickey.
Mickey who?
You know who.
I remember the first time laying eyes on Mickey Mantle, and it was like, you almost couldn't move.
To Mike Francesa and the entire 50s generation, he was the quintessential baseball hero.
Here's a payout pitch. Here it goes! It's out of here!
Mickey Mantle's swing and home run trot imitated by boys everywhere, like 9-year-old Len Berman.
When the game ended, you were allowed to walk on the field to exit, and I would always reach down and touch the grass as I was walking. They would look at you and they wouldn't let you walk on the grass, but I'd reach down and touch it, and I'd say, I touched the grass where Mickey Mantle ran, and it'd be a big thrill for a kid.
Here's the windup. Fastball hit deep to right. This could be it. Way back there. Holy cow! What's the matter?
Deja vu all over again, the hit home runs. A lot of guys thought Mickey and Roger were on the outs, but they weren't. They roomed together that year.
Chris Chambliss has won the American League pennant for the New York Yankees.
I actually got lifted off the ground by 4 or 5 people that were holding me up in the air, and it was a little scary.
The 70s brought the Bronx Zoo. Presided over by new owner George Steinbrenner, it was a raucous team with a rather bizarre birthday tradition.
I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll just sit my butt in the middle of this cake. And I did.
Reggie Jackson's 3 homers in 1 World Series game, a moment akin to Don Larson's.
I would have to say the greatest moment in my baseball career. My family enjoyed it. My pop was there. It happened in Yankee Stadium.
I did have a different perspective, and I can't express it on this show.
Hayes waits. The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Then I saw Wade getting up on a horse and just going like, it just felt like an old cowboy movie. It was so funny though.
The wild celebration inside the stadium that night was even crazier around the block at the Bronx's oldest bar, the Yankee Tavern.
The whole ceiling, which is about 18 feet high, was full of beer. and the bartenders were soaked.
In the 90s, a new Yankee dynasty.
World champions, team of the decade, most successful franchise of the century.
The last of 4 titles, a Subway Series win over the Mets. And in 2001,
Jeter hits it into right.
2 magical comebacks.
I have to leave the room. I cannot watch it. It's too big. It's too much pressure.
Tying run at the plate.
I go into my kitchen.
2 out, 2-0 Arizona.
And I put it on a 13-inch television.
Brocious.
I shut the sound off.
Hits one in the left.
And I go into the pantry. And I close the pantry door and I look at the game like this.
The back-to-back wins electrifying a city still reeling after 9/11.
Yankee Stadium in October is the grandest stage you can have in sports. There is no greater stage.
If you came from a different planet and you said, where would you want to put a ballpark in a major league city?
Please use both gates.
I think this would be ideal. So we're leading the major leagues in attendance.
But as stadium tour director Tony Moranti knows all too well, there was a time when Yankee Stadium was indeed an endangered landmark.
What are you trying to do for us? I'm trying to tell you.
May 1980, frustrated presidential candidate Ronald Reagan meets with Bronx residents angry about the decay of their neighborhood.
Push! Why don't you push?
If you will listen for a minute, what I'm trying to tell you is, I can't do a damn thing for you if I don't get elected.
The Bronx was burning, and it was a heat that had begun scorching the stadium as far back as the mid-60s.
I recall a game in 1967 or 68 where there was actually only 400 people at Yankee Stadium.
We had a player by the name of Hal Renniff, and Renniff said, look, all you guys that are not playing today, go in and put your street clothes on, get up in the stands and root for us.
The Yankee Stadium and the Bronx were in a free fall, and for some 10 years, average stadium attendance fell to only about 15,000 a game.
Crime shot through the roof. People were afraid to go to Yankee Stadium.
To make matters worse, Yankee Stadium was showing its age.
We saw that during bat days when kids would bang their bats on the concrete to initiate a Yankee rally, and concrete would chip and fall.
In 1973, the 50-year-old stadium was gutted in a 2-year renovation that ended up costing city taxpayers $100 million. The monuments were moved off the field to new Monument Park. Much of the facade was taken down, and the stadium's wooden seats were ripped out, with some sold for $7 a piece at Corvette's department store.
Men's room, however, haven't been changed since Thomas Jefferson delivered an oration in Virginia, and not enough of them. It's as if they designed, let's put in only 8 urinals for 60,000 people. That'll be enough, won't it?
The stadium renovation was no laughing matter for either the team, which spent 2 years playing at Shea Stadium until the work was completed, or some taxpayers who felt New York City had paid too much to keep the Yankees in the Bronx.
But also in that agreement, there was a promise to fix the parks in the area and to fix the housing in the area around the stadium. None of those promises were ever kept, so as a consequence, there was always a long shadow that was cast by Yankee Stadium.
Even after the renovated stadium reopened in 1976, Yankee owner George Steinbrenner would continue pressuring city officials for stadium improvements, threatening on several occasions to even move the team to Manhattan or New Jersey.
June 1993. Mr. Steinbrenner's upset that his winning team is still drawing fewer fans than the last-place Mets in Queens. Alan Feiner, The New York Times.
But when he went on the air and said that, no one's going to go to the South Bronx to watch baseball, I mean, I went on the air and said that's nonsense. I said, George, give him a winning team.
Yankee Stadium is being inspected today after a 500-pound beam fell from the upper deck into the seats below.
After this April 1998 incident, however, it became clear the current stadium's days were numbered. But in the end, the rise of a new Yankee dynasty silenced claims that fans wouldn't come to the Bronx.
One of the greatest surprises is the way the Yankees have become the hottest ticket, not only in town, the hottest ticket anywhere.
This was Ruthville right up here.
Right.
Ruthville was once the nickname for the stadium's right field bleachers. Stadium tour director Tony Moranti says it was the place that early fans flocked to try and catch a Babe Ruth homer.
Days of the Babe, yep. You didn't want to come out of left field.
You wanted to come to Ruthville.
There you go.
In these final days of Yankee Stadium, however, the bleachers are famous for another reason.
I'm known as Bald Vinny. I represent the heart and soul of Yankee Stadium, known as the Bleacher Creatures. Bleacher Creatures are the most dedicated fans in all of baseball.
Who's there? Bernie Williams! Bernie Williams, who?
You know, we're the loudest, sometimes a little obnoxious and rowdy. But we're always here every day supporting our Yankees.
There's Cowbell Man, Sheriff Tom, and Tina the Queen, all regulars in Section 39 with a strict code of conduct. No ties, no opposing team caps, and definitely no cell phones.
Dude, we got at least, I'll say about 100, 150 people around you at that moment yelling in your ear, wow!
We look at heckling as an art form. And if there's something in your personal life that we can make fun of, we're certainly going to do it.
The tie and jacket days of, come on, Yanks. Come on, no pitcher, no pitcher, no batter, no batter. Now, come on, you bum. Civility is teetering on the brink.
I mean, they booed Mickey Mantle. So by, their very nature, Yankee fans can be tough. I mean, just ask A-Rod.
The Bleacher Creatures calling card is the roll call.
They chant each player's name as the Yankees are on the field, and each player will acknowledge the Bleacher Creatures.
As other baseball fans cheer when something happens, Yankee fans cheer to make something happen.
I feed off how people hate the Yankees, and I like that.
Well, what is it? Yankee fans have to win every year? And I go, my answer to that is yes.
What the Creatures thrive on most is getting a player's attention. Hall of Famer Dave Winfield was an easy mark.
Every time we changed pitching, he'd come over there and say if we had anything to eat, and pizza and watermelon and whatever we had, we gave him, and he was the best.
2005, I was out in Milwaukee, and Bernie Williams popped his head out of the dugout, went over to the railing, gave him a nice yo, Bernie, turned around, tipped his cap.
I kind of heard that voice like, well, hold on, we're not at Yankee Stadium. Where's this guy at? And I looked around, and there was him.
There's only one Bernie Williams!
They have fun, but they're true fans out there.
You know, at my wedding, I had family over there, and the Bleacher Creatures right over there in the back where they can make all their noise.
When you get cheered by the New York Yankee fans, it's something that's very worthwhile.
Yankee baseball! Woo!
The night of the Fania All-Stars, wow, what a night.
It's a story Tony Moranti loves to tell.
I know.
The August 1973 night when Yankee Stadium went dark during a raucous salsa concert.
The fans were really getting into a frenzy. They started encroaching the field from the stands. And the stadium manager at that time, what he did was pull the plug at midnight. And that was the end of the concert.